Joining me now, one of the AGs pledging to investigate GoFundMe, Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry. AG Landry, thanks for being here. I remember from law school, you used to have these hypotheticals. I kind of feel like this GoFundMe situation could be one of them. But you also don't need to be a lawyer to really have a sense as to what's going on here. Isn't this theft?
Theft. It's ridiculous. I mean, look, first of all, the mayor of Ottawa should have gone to Portland and seen what Antifa did there. And of course, that's the disturbing thing. You know, GoFundMe basically supported those types of what they quoted as protests at that time, which turned extremely violent, but yet none of the money was cut off from them. Here we have truckers that are simply expressing their right. Okay, they in their frustration and their grievances with the government, and yet GoFundMe goes out there, they solicit their types of services here in America, here in Louisiana. People here in Louisiana give to them, and then they cut that money off. That is an absolute unfair and deceptive trade practice, and those are the things that my colleagues and I, General Ashley Moody, Patrick Morrissey in West Virginia, Todd Rokita were discussing over the weekend, right. And we fully intend to investigate that.
Okay, what actions do you intend to take following a potential investigation that shows wrongdoing? What actions, what legal steps can you take?
Well, we're going to be meeting today in our Consumer Protection Division and look at what's called a CID. That's a civil investigative demand. And these are questions that we're going to be asking GoFundMe directly as to what evidence did they have that basically they believed supported their decision to cut this money off. What exactly is that particular evidence? Was there a government act that had pressured them to do that? That's an important key in some of the things that we're going to be looking at. What is the difference between why they cut this money off and why they allowed money to go to groups like BLM and Antifa back when they were protesting, and many of those protests turned extremely violent?
I understand that many states are going to potentially be taking action based upon their own state law. But staying in Louisiana for a moment, what are the consequences to GoFundMe if they are found to have violated the Louisiana Deceptive Trade Practices Act?
Well, one of the things that we can do is levy fines, and it also gives those people who gave into the GoFundMe account through GoFundMe's platform to this account the ability to recoup their money and also potentially treble damages as well. In other words, 3 times the amount of money that they gave. And so, again, I think that there are steep fines. And what we hope is that GoFundMe doesn't conduct themselves like this again and allows their platform to be used the way it's supposed to, so that these types of organizations can be funded.
30,000-foot view, AG Landry. This really feels like the latest example of big tech censorship. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Look, 4 years ago, I was one of the first attorney generals that rang the bell on big tech and the power that they were basically accumulating at the time. There are many of us that are investigating these tech platforms. You mentioned early Facebook shut down a page under which people were thinking about organizing and protesting right in Washington, D.C. I mean, this is right out of 1984 Orwellian type activity. And it's a problem. The question is the government some kind of way pressuring these companies to do things like this? Those are some questions that I have.
That's an important question that needs to be asked. Thank goodness we have AGs like you that are asking those important questions, because whether it's this instance, Facebook, Google, the situation with big tech has gotten out of hand. Jeff Landry, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you, sir. Ash.